Well, so disappointed with Erin O'Toole's leadership and recent federal governments in general, a former Stephen Harper cabinet minister is trying to woo true blue conservatives to his Western Independence Party. Jay Hill, you'll remember the name. He was the Reform, then Conservative MP for Prince George Peace River in British Columbia before he retired from federal politics in 2010. He's now the interim leader of the Maverick Party, which expects to run a limited number of candidates in the next federal election. And Jay Hill joins me now. Jay Hill, first of all, good to see you again. Thanks for being with me.
Good to see you, Peter.
Look, we're talking about the Conservatives today and Mr. O'Toole's leadership. Why do you think he's bad for Conservatives and bad for Western Canada?
Well, increasingly, I'm hearing from Westerners, Peter, that are suggesting that Erin should actually change the initials of his party from the CPC for Conservative Party to the CCP, the Central Canada Party. And I think what that indicates to me is that Westerners are becoming disillusioned with his leadership as he focuses virtually all his attention on Ontario and Quebec.
When did you decide that Erin O'Toole wasn't going to be the right leader for the for Western Conservatives?
Well, I didn't really decide that about Erin O'Toole as much as I decided that the system doesn't work for Western Canada. And by that, I mean that the way Confederation is structured, it took me, obviously, most of my lifetime to come to the realization, and it really settled in after the 2019 election, that the country is so fixated on democracy that really results in tyranny of the majority, where the majority of the seats and the majority of the votes are in Ontario and Quebec. And that's where all national federal parties concentrate their efforts, is to appeal to those voters. And that was very evident in the fallout from the 2019 re-election of Justin Trudeau.
All right. To be clear, you did not support Erin O'Toole in the leadership race. And specifically, what do you think he's doing or saying that's turning off some, as you described them, true blue Western Conservatives?
Well, I think that if you look at the issues that he raised, especially support for our natural resources in Western Canada, that he raised during the leadership race when he portrayed himself as, the true blue candidate in comparison to my friend Pete MacKay, what that did was that built up some real expectations on the part of Westerners that we would have a leader that would at least defend some of our positions with Central Canadians. But instead, what we've seen is ever since his election in August, that he continually makes declarations that are very clearly supportive of Quebec and Ontario and this climate change policy that came out of the Paris Accord that can't help but harm our industries in the West.
But you were part of Conservative governments that. So is this about Erin O'Toole? About you? I mean, you touched on your disenchantment with the way politics runs federally in this country, but you were part of governments that managed to marry the interests of the West with those of Central Canadians, maybe not so much Atlantic Canada. So it can be done, can it?
Well, it can, but a lot of it is in the messaging and to ensure that you don't leave your base behind as you totally fixate on Central Canada and the views of Toronto. And what I've been saying as the interim leader of Maverick is that the views of the average Torontonian is dramatically different than the average Calgarian, and especially of the average rural Canadian that is concerned about the damage that's being done by the national carbon tax, is concerned about the fact that we do no longer have a cheerleader for our energy industry, which is probably the top one in the entire world when it comes to environmental standards, when it comes to labor relations standards. We should have cheerleaders in our federal government, not people that are, prepared to, let it die.
Okay. Mr. O'Toole is going to say a lot, I expect, this weekend about the need for party unity, focus on the real enemy, which he'll say is Justin Trudeau and the Liberals, not Conservatives infighting. You must realize that by splitting Conservatives and turning them against Erin O'Toole, you risk helping the Liberals stay in government. How does that help the Conservative movement?
Well, it doesn't. I've done several videos, Peter, on that specific issue that are on our website at www.maverickparty.com. where people can go and check out the Maverick Party. We fully intend to just run against the strongest Conservatives in Western Canada. These are Conservative members of Parliament that were elected by massive majorities. So there will be some vote splitting, but it'll only be between Mavericks and Conservative incumbents. So we're not going to take any seats from the Conservatives and give them to the Liberals or the NDP or the Green. The choice for the people in the ridings we will be running in is very clearly between re-electing Conservatives, which clearly are going to have to appease Central Canadians, and electing real representatives in the form of a Maverick member of Parliament that will only represent their best interests.
All right. Jay Hill, good to connect again. Take care, and we'll talk to you soon. All the best.
Thanks, Peter. Thanks for having me on.